Hi, I'm Andy Simon. I'm a corporate anthropologist and president of Simon Associates Management Consultants. This webinar was designed to help our clients master the process of change. We specialize in working with organizations that need or want to change, but often people are stymied by the fact that humans really don't like to change. So we thought that this might be a great way for us to help you prepare better for the process of change that's coming. Now, typically, our clients and you as well might find that you have grown your business through some traditional marketing methods and distribution channels. You may even have intermediaries or retailers. Your client or customer base could have been built through networking, referrals, word of mouth was always powerful and still is. Your departments inside your company perhaps acted autonomously, or if you were an entrepreneurial company, they perhaps had so much freedom to make decisions that putting processes into place are a little threatening. And you probably have a well established culture, either by design or by chance, with clear expectations and coherent strategies, or maybe with none of those. But people seem to know how to get things done. We are clearly realizing that change is here. The networking that you always referred to and relied on is still quite essential, but people are buying differently than before. They go online and they evaluate their options. There are enormous pressures on costs. There's a need for innovative solutions, as you all know, and the client needs change as well as you do, and fast. Changes in regulations, both here in the United States and elsewhere, are putting new rules into effect or changing them. The generational transition of current clients and potential ones is very important. What we're finding, of course, is that 67% of the United States companies are owned by boomers, and that slowly or quickly they're going to be handing this off to the next generation that's coming, or they'll be selling it. Clients are taking things inside that outsourcing used to do before. We were talking to a client not long ago, and he's finding all of the services he provides for his customers are now being taken inside. They're actually hiring some of his staff. Technology is advancing very fast. Who would have thought that tumor analysis could be done better by Watson with its algorithms than done by doctors or even scientists? And in fact, Watson is creating methods for CPA firms to automate the tax function, the audit function. And blockchain may be changing the way the banks exist. And peer-to-peer lending is growing rapidly. Machine technology, artificial intelligence, and new ways of doing things are hot. And of course, the Internet of Things is growing geometrically, astronomically, and they will build databases that will know us better than we know ourselves. And there's always more. This chart, though, came from a HubSpot 2016 conference that we attended. What sources of information do you rely on when making purchase decisions was the question. Word of mouth is still very powerful. People talk to people. Media articles and customer references and vendor-authored materials, though, do you do your blogs? Do you do your white papers? Are you producing videos? Are the media articles those that are done by major or minor? Is it done for search purposes? And crowdsourced review sites are there, much more important than even the salesperson. The brain, by and large, hates all this. It creates pain in the brain. That prefrontal cortex in the front that has to think doesn't want to do that. And remember, your brain, by the time you're 30, has formed a perceptual map of reality. And from that map, it sorts everything new that's coming at it. Does it fit or doesn't it? The second thing is that we're herd animals. Do not underestimate the power of culture and the way people live in tribes, clans, groups, or herds. We prefer to be with others even if we are not necessarily in agreement. And then if you haven't read the book, The Power of Habit, it's a very good book. And what it realizes is how we as humans become very efficient at what we're doing because it's habit driven. And once we have those well-honed habits, emotions, not logic, drive the decisions. It's all about efficiency. Now, often we are working with companies that are changing their strategy. You may be changing your operations or finding a different market segment, But think of strategy and change as closely connected for our purposes here. Typically, though, what you're trying to do is turn the undesirable into highly desirable processes and behavior. And that's where the challenge comes. So how do we make this happen? You need to understand the basic mechanisms of people's resistance to change. At the end of the day, people want to be stable, consistent, and their lives driven by the habits of yesterday. When they lose control, we develop fear and we hate the ambiguity of disruption. And we have hurdles. Even when people say they're on board, they often have a different story in their head about what that new strategy really means. We often focus them on the four major hurdles. The cognitive one, it's an organization that's wedded to the status quo, and I don't see any reason why I have to change. You'll hear that over and over again. The political one, I'm sure you've come upon yourselves. Before you actually have a new idea, it's shot down. Opposition from powerful vested interests take charge, and the ideas, as good as they might be, are easily aborted or undermined. Motivation. To change requires work. I often tell people it's like theater. You knew Macbeth really well, but now you're going to play Hamlet. Are you motivated to change the script and the roles that you're playing? And resources are a great reason to not do something. No matter how well you're going to resource it, people will find reasons to say we don't have we don't have the staff, we don't have the time, we don't have the money, we don't have the resources. Some things you should start to do right away is take people exploring. Have them meet with customers and non-customers. Get them engaged experientially so that when you say we need to change, they understand what it is. If you happen to have a very entrepreneurial culture and you want it to become a little bit better organized because you're hiring new people who aren't as entrepreneurial, you're going to have to get people who are those entrepreneurs involved, or cognitively they won't know what it is you're talking about. Political. It's extremely important to get the right people on the team. And both political and motivation is about getting the kingpins, the influencers, and putting them in charge. You'll find it fascinating that the people who are the biggest naysayers turn into your advocates when they are in charge. Resourcing. Hotspots are a great way to reallocate resources, pull them away from things that don't matter, and put them where they do. And then think of this in terms of the 3 E's. Engagement, explanation, and expectation clarity. Engagement, explanation, and expectation clarity. First, build engagement. People who are not engaged will disrupt what you're trying to do. So, solicit their input, allow them to refute the merits of one or another's ideas. Don't do it in a town hall meeting. Give them projects to work on, and it's not about carrots and sticks. Explanation. Humans like to know. Even if they're not quite sure what it is, they want to think it matters. So get everyone who's involved to understand why the decisions are being made. The explanation of rationale engenders confidence that you know what you're doing when you're asking them to change, and that these decisions have impartiality to them. Repetition is extremely critical. It's like an advertising campaign. You need to reach the right people and very often, and it has to be relevant for them. Think of it as an internal sales and marketing initiative. And you need buy-in. And that requires that engagement. And it needs meaning beyond the words. What does she really mean when she wants me to be better organized and less entrepreneurial? Or how are we going to do this differently as a collaborative team, not as a soloist? Experiential communication, show me. Then the third one is expectation clarity. What are you expecting of me? People will hear what you say, but you have to be specific and then reward and recognize process, not just results. Employees need to know upfront the standards by which their work will be judged and the consequences of failure. Reach into fair process, very, very important. Fair process can often be the difference between winning and losing in this. Why? It's based on lots of research. People care as much about the justice of the process as they do about the outcome itself. Satisfaction with the outcome and commitment to it rise when fairness is exercised. Now, what are the challenges that you're going to face right away? They come fast. You'd be amazed. You put a lot of effort into putting a plan together and people immediately try to undermine it. People who are part of the change team are worried what others will think and do. They just worry. Hiring outsiders is only good if you can protect them from the tribe. Somebody I heard in a large company said only his consultants helped the managers inside change because they weren't wedded to the way we do it here. Most people want to be part of the club and important parts of it. Typically, they don't know how to explain to others what they're doing and why they are the ones doing it. So if you're going to help them change, work on that story. Have them tell it often. Encourage voluntary cooperation. This is more than mechanical. People want to do only what it takes to get by. You don't want that. You want them to go beyond the call of duty and their own abilities. Why does it matter? People emotionally seek recognition of their values. They're not as employees, but as people. And they want respect and appreciation, and they want to matter. If you don't engage and educate and have expectation clarity, and if you're not a fair process organization, people will feel intellectual indignation. They will not share ideas or expertise. They'll hoard their best thinking and creativity, undermine and sabotage the process, and not trust that the decisions being made are fair ones. Good strategy execution, all on motivating people. Change, all about overcoming those organizational hurdles and winning trust with fair process. This is a very holistic approach. But understand, as Daryl Conner wrote in Managing at the Speed of Change, not only are changes multiplying exponentially, but the solutions have a shorter life than ever before. Programs, procedures, strategies we develop to deal with them become outdated or obsolete. This is not about holding on to things for 70 years like a Brownie camera that Kodak made. We can be very resilient, particularly as we change our stories, but we have to realize that control is what we're seeking. We need order and habits, and we want to restore them quickly. Ambiguity is what we fear and avoid, and the transitions are very challenging. Everything succeeds in your actions, so you need a business-wide commitment to change. Consistently pursue the goals, even when it's under stress, and tell the same story. Please remember that not all ideas are good ones, but you need a way of evaluating them. And are they on strategy or off, consistent with the goals or not? Persistence is powerful. Now, that doesn't mean you don't take a look at what's going on, but you must remain open and creative with lots of ingenuity and resourcefulness. My concerns typically working with clients is about the 3 E's, because at the end of the day, they form a platform for change that works really well. And don't forget those metrics and measures to monitor and reward the right actions. Go back to those people's emotions, because that's what's going to undermine this. Protect your team. You don't want them to be outsiders. You want to be leading. Leaders need followers. Make sure management and those team roles are going to be aligned. Measure results and reward trial and error and progress, not just the bottom line impact. Do not underestimate the power of metrics and ensure they have the resources needed to get things done. By the way, make sure you understand the process and the time frame that you're measuring, because you may be too short and the ideas could be coming to fruition much quicker than you imagined. I put into this at the end some of my favorite reading. Managing at the Speed of Change, I mentioned, great book. The Fall of Alphas, different way of approaching collaboration and change. How to Have Influence and Vital Smarts is a great process, well worth looking at. And all of David Rock's articles are terrific. And his book, Managing with the Brain and Mind, will be a great help to you. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I truly enjoy doing these webinars. If you have more interest, please let me know. And if you have a chance, buy my book. Take care now.